Alright guys, welcome back. So what we've got on the XA fender today is I've gone through and given it a good rub with some 120, and what it's shown up is, if it shows up on the camera, there's a couple of lows there and there. There's one through there where it's sucked in where we welded that lower half in, and then there's little like air bubble pinholes in the filler that need a scrape. So basically we just need a little bit of build there, there and there, and then the rest of it is pretty much, oh sorry, a tiny bit on that part of the moulding. So the rest of it from there is pretty much just a light scrape to take care of any pinholes. So again, that section from there down will get a light scrape just to really push into the pinholes and up around here and here. So I don't have any of the U-pole fine fill left. So what we're going to do is take a bit of the standard filler, and I've got some fiberglass resin there. We'll mix it up and put slightly less hardener in it for today because it is quite humid and quite hot out there. And yeah, we'll give it a light scrape and see how it goes. Alright guys, so we've got the fender all blocked back, and I think I've got all the pinholes and the low spots that I could find. So it's all been blocked back, it's all been given a quick hit with 240 grit, and it's ready to clean up and get another couple of hits of primer on it, and then let it sit and shrink back through the week, ready to block on the weekend. So I was going to get in and start doing that, but I've got a call from Dylan. So I got everything from him. Yeah, I got a call from Dylan saying that apparently the guy that we've been trying to get a hold of with an XA GS GT cluster, the sale fell through and he's still got it. So I'm going to head up to the house, clean up, and we might be going for a bit of a quick trip to see if it's there still. Okay, hang on, we'll get back to you. Okay guys, welcome back. We finished off the other day with me getting this all blocked back with 240, ready to put some more primer on it. But we got sidetracked because someone rung up and apparently has a GS GT. I think it's a GS, looking at the RPM on this tobacco dash, for an XB for sale with fascia and a harness as well. I know it's not the XA one, they are very similar, give or take a couple of colours on the dash and the finish, the texture on the dash, fascia and stuff like that. But mine's not a replica and it's not a real GT. I just want the sports pack dash. So we're in the middle of waiting to see what happens there. It's at a half decent price. So that's why I stopped on here. I had to go and sort that out. So now what I'm going to do is get the red Scotch-Brite, all the little spots that have broken through on the rub through where we blocked everything back. Going to give them a hit with the Scotchy, rub it all down with a bit of prep wash, and then wherever it's gone bare metal, we're going to hit it with a little bit of the epoxy edge that we put on to start with. It's in an aerosol can, but it's the exact same stuff as what we put on with the gun. And then I'm probably going to get into Dylan's two rear doors over there, get them all boarded down and have a look for any spots we've missed on that. And that way, those and the guard will all be ready to go into a coat of high fill at the one time. I can mix up a pot and jam on both. It'll be a lot quicker and easier. So I'll just give this a bit of a rub back now where the metal is, just to make sure it's clean and there's no flash rust from sitting overnight. pretty much decided we weren't going to bother trying to run a GS or a GT style dash in the car because of the prices that everyone's wanting for that kind of stuff nowadays. I know they're getting long in the tooth and there's not many of them around anymore, so they are hard to get, but what they're asking for the prices, it's like, you know what, I wasn't going to spend that money on something that's realistically just cosmetic, considering I can run aftermarket gauges if I want that stuff. The build was originally going to be along the lines of trying to make it something that I would have built when I was 17, back in the 80s, 90s, and that would have probably been what I would have done back then anyway, because high school kid wasn't going to be able to afford GS GT dash anyway. But if this does work out, it'll be nice, and like I was saying, old mate's price is actually really realistic, as long as we get there and have a look at it and it's not totally stuffed, but it appears okay by what he said. Now, for a push, where'd that go? This one. It's this one. We'll do it here. Main thing to remember is we don't want, if you do put prep wash on them, you don't want it to dry on the panel. So make sure you wipe it down and wipe it off rather than letting it dry. Okay, that'll do us for that one. We'll give it a sec to flash off. And then, like I said, that's just a primer surfacer. That's exactly the same stuff that we put on with the gun. Not designed to go over the paint as such, but for bare metal. Just shows what I'm talking about, where the rub throughs are. So you can see where the dark grey patches are. That's the actual epoxy edge underneath the high fill. But that shiny spot through there, one little breakthrough up on there, little faint one in the middle of that, there. So, and they're just scattered around. So we'll get those all sealed up. Once they're sealed up, then we can put the high fill on, and it'll actually have half a chance of sticking and doing what it's supposed to. Because in all honesty, it's not supposed to go over bare metal. That's what this stuff's for. Okay, so that's finally mixed up enough that it's going to spray. Where are we? The edge. Now we're not going for a full solid cover in the first flick. Just dust it on lightly and only where we need it. Now, if I was doing this on the car with the panel I was going to use, I wouldn't be using an aerosol can. I'd be mixing more up and applying it with the gun like I did the first time. But A, this is a test panel. B, it does work, you can do it. I just find the finish off the gun's nicer. Lays down smoother, which then lets the high full time go on nicer. Okay, clean the tip of the spray can out, and we'll give that a couple of minutes to set off, and we'll put a slightly wetter coat on over that, and then we should be right. And it's only to fog it in around it and cover where it needs it, like I was saying. And then that way it's all sealed up, and when we're ready to put the primer on, before we do it, we'll give it a hit with the grey Scotch-Brite and then put the high fill over that. Okay, back in a sec. Okay, that's had enough time to flash up. Now we'll give a final coat. say 2 coats is normally enough. And I reckon that should do it. There we go. Oop. Miss there. Yep. Okay. All right, so that's all done. So now we're going to get into, bouncing around everywhere. There's a little bit of filler up on the top edge of this door of Dylan's, and I'm going to give that a quick block and sit there, and we'll give the whole door a bit of a rub and see how we go with that. So I'm going to want some, give it a light hit with some 80 first up. See what that does. Now this door was originally longboarded anyway, and it was fairly straight. So this filler is not actually trying to get something straight. This filler was because I noticed a few pinholes in the filler that he'd rubbed back originally, and they were missed before the primer went over. So this is just to take out those pinholes. I've got a few spots we need to do this. Don't want to rub the white primer with the 80 too much. I just want to knock the fill of that. More so. don't think feel any edges. So rather than go too far with the 80 and then dig holes in the white primer that I've got big deep sanding gouges I can't get rid of later, we'll switch over to the 120. Some 120. Same deal, just feather it out a bit more. Looks okay, where's the rag? Okay, so we're back on the door now. I just had a quick chat with a neighbour I've never met before out on the street with his papa dog. He's doing up on all HR and HQ. Really nice guy, some interesting cars. So now what I've done is where we scraped the filler through to cover the pinholes, I've given that a hit with some 80 lightly, then some 120, and down in this bottom corner where there was a bit of a blemish that didn't get rubbed back properly before the primer went on. And then we went to the 120, and now we're going to give it a hit with some 240. But before we do, you can see, it might show up in the camera, maybe not. Down in here, some little dots, like little pimples. They're actually with little pinholes where the filler's gone in, because we mixed a bit of fiberglass resin with the filler when we put that one in, thinned it right out, and used scrape in and get it all down where we wanted. So now, and we hit there and there where the two bugs landed in the down stuff last time when it was drying. Feathered those out. Now we'll give it a hit with some black, and then we'll go into the softback 240 grit on the hook and loop sander. And we'll see how out of shape the door is. See what we have to tune up. Okay, so we'll give that a couple of minutes to flash off. It's a nice dry dusty coat that we put on of the old Woodridge war paint, and then when that's ready we'll get in and start rubbing it, and that'll show us how good we did or didn't do the first lot of locking. Now the wife found on Temu, of all places, the other day while she was flicking through her phone, sanding block kit, really cheap, going to be here within 7 days. Again, it takes a hook and loop paper, but it's got blocks with all different foam backed profiles. So there's flat, concave, convex, like a point, like a 90-degree point wedge for doing barrels in there, more so for doing the edge of the XA, XB, XC fenders is what I was thinking of, because when you look in that section through there, it's got a nice smooth dish and really hard to rub back, and then this piece that scallops up there, hard to rub back, excuse me, rub back with a flat block and not cut grooves and wedges and shapes into it. So excuse me, that should turn up here in about in the next week or so. So when that turns up, I'll give them a shot and we'll see whether they were worth the money. Like I said, they were cheap, but hopefully they'll do what they say. The reviews were good, so let's have a go. Sand up to the line, not over. Move my bald head so you guys can see what I'm actually doing. Where are we? About there. Now this wasn't the high build primer either, so I'm not really phased by any light scratches. I'm looking more for lows that need to be tweaked before we go to the high build. You can see again there, a spot that didn't quite have the filler rubbed back fully, properly, like that one up there was. So, see what we can do with that. Okay, so that's all we're going to take off that piece. And we've got a little bit of fill to do. A little bit of fill to do right there. And tiny little pins there. And a little bit down in this corner and up there. So that'll come in before we put the rifle on. Now this section, again, make sure you try and crisscross it so you don't cut grooves in. I think these doors needed a little bit more work before this primer went on, but they're coming up okay. A little bit more work rubbing them back to start with would have made this part a lot easier. when I'm not properly. Just want to get this main section done and show you what we're after, and then I'll knock that top piece off and do here by hand without the block, because I don't want to cut a square edge into there where it transitions. Nearly. Okay, so we'll wipe my hands up. And show you down in here what we've done so far. Okay, so what that's given us is obviously low spot, low spot, low spot there, not so much the scratches but just the low shadow, so low spot that needs a bit more fill, low spot that needs a little bit more fill, and then along there and along here, the curved sections, we're going to have to sand that by hand. And there's a few little pin dots there where the filler had some air bubbles and air pockets, and then this will get done mostly with the flat block, and we'll see where that's at. So I'm going to shut this down there, keep rubbing this back, and bring this back once we're ready to finish it up. Rightio, so we're going to wrap this one up here because I'm really low on battery on this thing, but what we've got is all the imperfections on the door have got a light coat of really thinned out filler with fiberglass resin. So places like here, all of these ones through there, and even those two are only there to cover pinholes, imperfections, that kind of stuff. Like I was saying, you never want to try and bog a small area. You want to try and spread it out over a bigger area, so when you sand it down, it goes straighter. For example, that area through there was two of the low spots. There was a low spot there and a low spot there. Now, in all honesty, the low spots were probably the size of a 50-cent piece, and I've covered that entire area so we can sand it and feather it out, and it'll progress out nice and smooth. As well, there was the low spot there, maybe the size of a 5-cent piece. And then again, a couple in here, there was 2 or 3, but they were scattered apart. So we're trying to bridge it all through there. So before this storm kicks in out there and rains and gets me stuck in the shed, and then before this battery runs flat, I'm going to finish it up here. I'll probably put this one together and post it, and I'll get you back in when we're sanding the that door. That door should be pretty much ready for high fill once that's done, and then it can get set aside and ready to get blocked back and ready for colour. And then I'll start on the other one, and then we've got 2 more down there. So yay! But again, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.